Hello and good Sunday morning. I'm KHU11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez. We're starting off with mostly dry and quiet conditions. The only thing that we're going to have to worry about this afternoon is going to be the humidity and the heat. So if you're heading out the door right now, temps are in the 80s. That is as of 8 o'clock this morning. Sugar Land at 82, Hobby Airport at 82 degrees, 82 out in Tomball. However, when you factor in that humidity, it's feeling already like 91 out in Sugar Land. 91 at Bush Airport. It's the heat index, or feels like temperature, is what we're really going to have to worry about for later this afternoon. So as we plan our day, we have great conditions, especially to be out in the pool. Maybe near a sprinkler, or if you don't have a pool, but those temps are going to be rather just warm and humid. We're going to see just a bit of cloud cover, but we are expecting a high of about 95 degrees this afternoon. That is tying our record that was set back in 2011. So it's going to be interesting to see if we actually get to 95 or surpass that going into the latter half of our day, and that's at Houston Bush Airport. So the heat index, like I said, factor in that humidity, feeling as hot as 105 in Tomball, 104 in Katy, 105 in Huntsville, 106 at College Station. Areas west of Houston likely to feel more of those sweltering temperatures, but we will see those conditions remain mostly just sweltering this afternoon. And so also keep in mind, when we see the heat index at 90 to 103, if you don't take those heat measures, those heat safety measures, we could get heat stroke, heat cramps, heat exhaustion possible. So pay attention to those symptoms. If you are spending time outdoors, and even though you are in a pool, you still need to drink water. Of course, not pool water, filtered water, that is, as we head into the hottest parts of our day. So looking at today's forecast, our actual temps are going to be in the 90s for our inland areas. Feeling like a 101 in Houston, 94 in Tomball, areas north of Conroe, Huntsville, 93, 88 in Lake City, 82 out in Galveston. If you are expected to go towards the coast, we will see cooler conditions, but it's still going to be a bit humid out there as we head into the afternoon hours. And then for Memorial Day, for tomorrow, we will see a high of about 94 degrees. It's going to be mostly sunny. I think things are going to be mostly quiet, but we could see a few maybe isolated showers and storms in the first half of our day, and then even in the latter half of the day, might see some evening showers and storms as well, with south winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So we are tracking this low pressure system with an associated cold front that's going to be moving south and digging further south into southeast Texas, going into Monday night into Tuesday morning, and that's going to stall over our region. And that's just going to keep that rain chance there lasting as late as until Wednesday and into Thursday. So we could see some downpours heading into Tuesday morning. So if you're heading back to work Tuesday morning, you might want to just have it in the back of your mind to give yourself enough time heading out the door or making it to your destination, as we will see those rain chances move through and remain in the picture at least through the end of our work week. So as we get a closer look at what we're expecting to see, the weather models are showing a wave of storms likely moving in from the west that is going to be making its way into southeast Texas for the early morning hours on Monday. It's very well likely that these storms will fizzle out by the time they make it to Houston, but we can't rule out some of these storms actually making it into our outlying areas, maybe Tomball, Katy, Navasota, Brenham, even Columbus, as we head into Monday morning. And then it's going to be these series of waves, these similar type of impulses that are going to be waving across and training across southeast Texas, and that's going to bring our rain chance. So that burst of energy that we usually see, it's going to be in the morning, Tuesday morning, same situation. Wave of storms moving through. We're going to have a break, and then another wave of storms moving through by the latter half of the day. So it's just these continuous trains of storms that are going to be followed by stormy activity, and then a break, and then stormy activity for the latter half of the day. And that's what we're expecting to see. So we do have a little bit of a flooding threat with this system as it stalls over our region. So we're not really going to have to pay attention to the rain accumulations at least until Tuesday afternoon. And that's when we could see some ponding on roadways. Of course, the Storm Prediction Center, including most of southeast Texas, under a marginal risk for severe weather. That is a 1 out of 5. excuse me, we could see some ponding on roadways, those feeder roads, those problematic areas. You probably know where they are across the Houston area that usually flood no matter how much rain it gets. Just keep in mind that we could be looking at that Tuesday and into Wednesday. The Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal rain chances from May 31st through June 4th. So it's very well likely that we could be starting off June on a wet note across southeast Texas going into the latter half of the month and the week. So as far as those 10-day high temperature trends, we are expecting temperatures to be a bit cooler for Wednesday into Thursday, getting up to 89 for Friday, 87 for Saturday. Just think those rain chances for the reason that we're going to see these cooler conditions across the area. So looking at that hurricane outlook, I know we're going into hurricane season. We have officially 7 days until hurricane season. NOAA calling for 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 of those being hurricanes, 3 to 5 of those being major hurricanes. This doesn't mean that this is going to hit Houston or southeast Texas. This is just what we're going to see out in the Atlantic Basin going into the peak of hurricane season, which is usually September for us here across our area. So looking at the satellite right now, good news, no development expected for the next 7 days. There's a lot of Saharan dust out in the Atlantic Ocean that's moving in from Alpha Africa. That is going to prevent hurricanes from forming, as well as those tropical systems that we usually see. But there is an area that we're watching. It's currently out in the Pacific Ocean. This has now an 80% chance of development. That is expected to remain over open water, not posing a threat to land. So that's good news for any of those land masses. But as we look at the 2025 Atlantic Basin names, we start off with Andrea, Barry, Chantel, Dexter. These are the recycled names that we saw back in 2019. And so usually when a storm doesn't make significant impact, like major loss of life or damage, they usually recycle those names every few years. So but if the storm does have major impact, like Harvey, Allison, Hurricane Ike, those names are the ones that are also retired. And like I said before, hurricane season officially 1 week away. Have those action plans ready and be prepared. Have those safety kits ready as well, because we've seen in Houston's history that storms don't wait until September to come into our area. Let's look back at Tropical Storm Allison. That happened back in 2001. That was around June 8th and 9th. That was about a week after hurricane season began back in 2001. So it's very well possible that once June 1st hits, you could still see those storms moving through the area across the Gulf there. So highs in the 90s, lows in the 70s. We will see showers and storms start ramping up on Tuesday. We can't rule out maybe a stray shower or a storm heading into Memorial Day. And just keep in mind, if thunder wars, head indoors when it comes to that pool safety. You don't want to be out in a pool when you hear thunder. Lightning, definitely a leading cause of fatalities when it comes to these storms. So if you hear thunder and you are in a pool and you're outside, head indoors. You don't want to be in a body of water when that occurs. And so we're going to see more of these widespread showers and storms heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, and then ultimately lasting through much of the week. But for today, we are going to start off mostly hot and humid. If you're just now joining our extended live stream, we're just going to go back and recap what we're expecting to see as we start our day. So right now, if you are heading out the door, temps in the 80s. Right now, it's a little bit of a hazy look to downtown Houston. We're still dealing with some of that agricultural burning that's going on in Mexico and Central America. That's really the cause of the smog and the hazy conditions that we've seen. So we're starting off in the low 80s. Feels like temps when you factor in the humidity already at 91 in Sugar Land, 91 out at Bush Airport. And as we look at the hourly planner, we're already going to be in the 90s as we get closer towards that noon hour. And temps are just going to continue to rise to about 95 this afternoon. So the record was 95 that was set in 2011, so it's very well possible that we could tie that record for today at Houston's Bush Airport. So heat index, like I said, the humidity, the atmospheric moisture levels, this is why we show you the feels like temps instead of the actual temps. I know we show you the actual temps, but it's important to know the feels like temps, because when it comes down to it, there is actually a special weather equation that measures how the humidity impacts your body. So when we have dry conditions, your sweat usually does a good job at cooling you off. But when we have humid conditions, the sweat doesn't do really anything for us. So that actually makes your body a little bit more hotter, and you will probably could suffer from those heat-related illnesses, of course, easier when we have these humid conditions. So it's very important to pay attention to the heat index forecasted for today. We're feeling like 103 in Tomball, 103 in Katy, 106 out in Brenham, close to 100 here in the Houston area. And like I said, if you are not taking those necessary heat precautions, or you're not going to stay hydrated as well as take frequent breaks, when we have that heat index at 90 to 103, you can get heat stroke, heat cramps, heat exhaustion possible. So if you start feeling a little bit ill, make sure to drink water and pay attention to those symptoms if you are spending time outdoors. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. We're in the pool. We think that we can't get dehydrated while in a swimming pool, but you can. It is possible. Drink water and not pool water, like I said earlier. Filtered water, that is. East End at 93 for today, 94 in Tomball. These are the actual temps. We are going to be cooler along the coast. It is going to be, we're going to have a moderate rip current risk for our coastal area. So if you have any young ones close to the water in the Gulf, you just pay close attention, because we could see some waves be a little bit on the rough side heading into the evening. So Memorial Day forecast, mostly sunny, mostly quiet. There's not going to really be any plans that are going to hamper our Memorial Day, but 94 for a high. We will see that storm chance moving through, all thanks to this next weather system that's going to be moving in from the north. That's going to bring some widespread showers and storms as that frontal boundary just stalls over southeast Texas. And that's going to keep rain chances in the picture from Tuesday, Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be the day that we're going to see more of the heavier rain chances. But models are now trending that we could actually see this last until Thursday. That's our European model. That's what I saw before the newscast. So waves of storms likely moving through. We do have one wave that's going to be moving in from the west across maybe 290 I-10 tomorrow morning. So if you're getting an early start to your day tomorrow, maybe heading back home or heading anywhere across Texas, if you're watching this, if you're from out of town, just keep in mind that we will see a wave of storms from the west. This is going to fizzle out by the time it reaches Houston, but we can't rule out some of those storms making it into our outlying areas, especially Tomball, Navasota, maybe even Huntsville as that first wave moves through. And then Tuesday, a second wave expecting to move through in the early morning hours around the same time on Monday. So we could be starting off our morning quite wet and stormy from maybe 4:30 to 5 o'clock. After this wave moves through, we're going to get a bit of a break, and then for the commute home, a third wave expected to move through with some rain showers and storms, and that could we could start seeing some of that flooding concerns, those ponding on roadways as we head into Tuesday afternoon. And that's the reason why the Storm Prediction Center is giving us a marginal risk for flooding. That is a 1 out of 5. It's not a significant risk, but it's just a kind of a reminder to you could see some ponding on those feeder roads. You know, those problematic areas across Houston that usually flood first. Just keep in mind that you might want to pay attention to the rain accumulations as we head into Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday, as that's when we're expecting to see those conditions start dealing with more heavier rain chances. So as far as our 10-day high temperature trends, highs in the 90s for today and tomorrow. We're going to be a bit cooler for Thursday and into Friday. Temps are going to be around normal. Usually our average high for this time of year, usually 89 degrees, but we will see those conditions remain mostly just a bit on the drier side as we head into the next few days. So as far as your 7-day forecast, expect those temps to remain mostly hot and humid for today. We will start having to track those rain chances into tomorrow. We are expecting that rain to become more widespread on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so, like I said, when I went through that timeline, it's going to be the morning hours of Tuesday and the afternoon hours of Tuesday as you head home from work. So unfortunately, it's going to be taking place during our commute to work and our commute home. So if you're heading back to work Tuesday, might be a messy commute, might have some traffic issues and some hazardous roadways heading into Tuesday. That's going to be the same case for Wednesday as well, as storms are going to last at least until Thursday into Friday, and then we'll see cooler temps. That's the good news in all of that. But just keep in mind that this unsettled weather pattern lasting for much of the week. And of course, we are tracking the latest weather forecast and the latest trends in our weather here across the Houston area on KHOU.com. And you can also get access to these extended forecasts that we do on KHOU 11 Plus, and also by downloading our app when we head into the next 7 days, especially as we are anticipating some unsettled weather here across Houston. Of course, I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez. Have a great and safe